Hey, check out this headline that I saw today. I mean, come on. It's in the CBC, but I saw this story elsewhere too. Quebec launches helpline for politicians following wave of resignations at municipal level. Hundreds have left public life since 2021. Now, I'll come back to this in a second, but can I ask you, how's it going for you these days? How are you feeling? Hopefully, you're doing well, but it's tougher out there than it has been in decades, actually. I think that's affecting everybody. Here's one measure: per capita income, as in that's what the average person earns in a year. You can see that it went flat in 2015, and then it plunged during the pandemic lockdowns, just like it did in the US. But after that, the US rebounded. It zoomed up, but Canada is falling again. We're getting poorer, is what that means. We've been in decline since, well, what happened in 2015? Justin Trudeau happened. Now, inflation, add inflation to that, but grocery shopping is more expensive than ever. The carbon tax means gasoline and everything that uses gasoline is more expensive. A house in Canada is about double what it costs in the United States. How is that even possible? And then there's the non-financial stuff. Crime is nuts. Out of control immigration is stressing everything from hospitals to traffic and housing, of course. And then there's the cultural things, like the fact that Trudeau is in love with terrorists and those who support them. At least that's how it looks. And at the same time, he's pushing a culture of death on Canadians, both through assisted suicide and by legalizing hard drugs. Who does that? I really think things are bad out there. Did you see this? Emigration, that means people leaving Canada to the U.S., hits a 10-year high as tens of thousands head south. Census says 126,000 people left Canada for the U.S. in 2022, a 70% increase over a decade ago. That's amazing. That many people fled Canada in 2022 alone. Those who can get out are getting out. But look at that first headline again, the one about politicians getting a helpline. Quebec launches helpline for politicians. Following wave of resignations at municipal level, hundreds have left public life since 2021. Now, they're setting up a helpline for themselves, not for you. They care about themselves. They don't really care about you. Where's our helpline? Not that the government ever helps. Quebec is committing $2 million to connect politicians and their families, that must be nice, with psychological aid after a wave of resignations and leaves of absence among elected municipal officials. Well, that's nice. I mean, politicians, they really are the people we have to cherish and nurture. They're really the best. But have you ever heard anyone even say that? You know that politicians are the least worked people in the country, right? And that's not an opinion, it's a fact. You know, when I was in my 20s, I worked in the federal parliament for Preston Manning. He was the MP. I was an assistant. The entire parliament would shut down. It would have like a month off for Christmas, not a week, a month. A few months over summer. Huge stretches of breaks. Whenever there was a statutory holiday, they would add like a week to it. I'm not making that's I couldn't believe it. Parliament sat for only 121 days in all of 2023. That's like 2 days a week on average. The Senate of Canada worked just 80 days all year, but they give themselves huge raises every April Fool's Day. You know, provincial governments are even lazier. I don't know if you know that. The average provincial legislator meets just 59 days a year if they show up for them. Oh, but the poor dears, it's all about them. Can we help them? A new telephone helpline is available starting today for politicians in need of help, after almost 10% have quit since the 2021 municipal elections. Only 10% have quit in 3 years? I'm just thinking, how can we get that number higher? Since when is being a politician a lifelong job? Isn't the whole point of democracy and elections to clean out the stables, to get rid of politicians before they go fully corrupt? If you're only getting rid of 10% in 3 years, it's going to take you 30 years to get rid of all of them. That is too slow. Quebec says the helpline is part of a multi-year plan to improve working conditions for local leaders. But today's announcement comes just 1 week after the abrupt resignation of the mayor of Gatineau. Oh, not that, eh? How about working conditions for the rest of us? Does anyone care if a politician quits? Isn't that like a good thing? Don't people always cheer when that happens? Well, look at this story here, again, from the CBC state broadcaster. People who intimidate, harass Quebec politicians to face $1,500 fines under new law. Officials can also ask for injunctions against citizens. Is that the worst criminal law story in Canada right now? You know, in Canada's two biggest cities, Toronto and Montreal, there are daily pro-terrorist street actions. Sometimes they're just trespassing and vandalizing and harassing people. Sometimes they're actually beating up Jews. Sometimes they're actually shooting or firebombing schools and synagogues. I think there's a violent harassment crime wave in Canada right now, in addition to the regular crime wave. But no. Whether you're worried about home invasion robberies or car thefts, the most urgent crime wave that the government is focusing on is people being mean to politicians. By the way, I'm against people actually harassing politicians, but I mean actual criminal harassment, like stalking. I'm against actual threats, as in like uttering a death threat, God forbid. I'm against that. And luckily, so is the criminal code. Section 264 of the Criminal Code makes harassment a crime. But let me read you the definition of that so you can feel comforted that politicians are protected already. This is a list of things you cannot do if it, quote, causes a person reasonably, in all the circumstances, to fear for their safety or the safety of anyone known to them. Okay, and here's the list of things you can't do. A, repeatedly following from place to place the other person or anyone known to them. B, repeatedly communicating with, either directly or indirectly, the other person or anyone known to them. Besetting or watching the dwelling house or place where the other person or anyone known to them resides, works, carries on business, or happens to be, or engaging in threatening conduct directed at the other person or any member of their family. So that's already in the criminal code. It's been there for decades. That pretty much covers all the bad behavior you would want to cover, I think.